Thank you so much, Veli. Let's get ready for the matchup. Before the matchup, TSM versus OXG. In a different world, Michael, this would have been a battle of the heavyweights. Hasn't really been the story so far this split at all. In fact, Oxygen finds themselves entering the day down in 7th. Not exactly the spot they want to find themselves in. A victory here for them would propel them past Mirage into 6th place. A victory here for TSM does absolutely nothing. So what can you set for expectations for people who are in Oxygen?
Well, Parker, I think you did a great job of setting the field already, but just to add to what you were saying, it's 2 wins so far through this stage for Oxygen. 1 in OT, 1 regulation win, and that's just not a great record for a team we expect so much of. There has been conversation around this, quite a lot actually, because obviously you expect Oxygen to be one of those top 4. They've always been on the cusp of that position, but they've struggled to push through and achieve the prize. Well, it's not going to happen this stage. They are not going to be going to the major. It's just impossible for them. But a win here could resurrect some of their pride. TSM is going. They have secured their spot, and they're in a great position currently in 2nd for the stage. So maybe OXG shows us some great siege on the way out the door for the stage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to set expectations for you accordingly. It's tough for a team like TSM to approach this matchup knowing that outside of just another victory, they can't do anything else in the standings. TSM's spot in 2nd place is secured. They will not be able to chase down SSG no matter what they want to do. Space Station Gaming, obviously, because of the forfeit today by Beast Coast, finish off this stage with 22 points. TSM currently sit at 16. A victory here would propel them to 19 points, which is still 3 behind Space Station. So, I mean, for TSM, you have an opportunity here to maybe try out some things new. I have no doubt that as much as this matchup is significant for TSM, that their sights are going to be very firmly set on the Mexico Major, which we just saw Dark Zero qualify for. And in the next game coming up, we will, we'll determine whether the Sonics or Disrupt qualify.
I do want to say briefly that I appreciate the mentality that Oxygen has as well, because Foxay had talked about it recently. He was quoted as saying, they picked up 2 new players and they're still adapting to those role changes. And he said, there's more work to be done. Nobody is at fault for the reason that they're performing poorly. You win as a team, you lose as a team. And that kind of mentality is really admirable to have, considering Oxygen's current position.
Now, on both of these teams, there's no shortage of firepower, Michael. We'll bring up the community poll for you since, well, you've got something to vote on. Who has the better smile? Well, the answer to that question is Laxing. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the poll. Laxing and Chala are both known for their clutches. Who will win the most today? Will it be Chala or will it be Laxing? When it says who will win, that's in regards to clutches. Nothing else. Nothing else.
These are very clutch players. Chala actually is the 2nd most clutch player, tied with a lot of... Okay, no, he's the 1st most clutch player in the NAL as of this stage, but we've got a lot of people who have 3 clutches. Hyper, Bosco, Shuttle, this goes on. So he's up there in the top list. So obviously we're not actually talking about the clutches. It's really just their overall performance, I believe. But yeah, a good head-to-head. I like that one for this match.
Obviously, both these players have been extraordinarily good at what they do. Chala has been a bit of a surprise, in fact, as he spent some time in the wilderness, but after being picked up by TSM, he's really helped this team achieve the form that they find themselves in right now. With no further ado, though, as Pojo Man hypes up his team and fist bumps go out across the board, we are gearing up to go on over to one of the newer reworked maps on Oregon for TSM versus OXG. It's our 2nd to last match of this stage of the NA League.
I like that with players like Pojo Man and Mint. You might be able to take him off the desk, but you can't get him off the stage. Love to see him up there. And definitely the vibes from Pojo are going to go a long way. Straight into the ban phase, and we've got some surprises already, Parker.
Flores obviously being banned out is going to be something to keep an eye on. And like we said, TSM can have a great opportunity and can use this time to possibly try out some new things. Obviously, these teams are going to be stress testing their own setups on attack and on defense going into the Mexico Major because there's an awful lot on the line. TSM qualified a little while ago, so they've had some opportunities just to be able to see what does and doesn't work. Flores might be a little bit off the board, but Thatcher sure isn't. Joining Thatcher will be a Mira ban. Often joining Mira, see Wamai or possibly even Valkyrie. Neither of those would be, I guess, oddities. Last ban is coming in though, Michael. It's going to be from Oxygen, and they ban out Smoke. Oh, TSM banning Smoke. Apologies. That is an interesting one.
So yeah, this is some target ban going on here. Let me take a look actually, because we've had a number of target bans throughout the stage. Kino is the smoke player. His attacking main is Thermite. So the Flores isn't too crazy, but I've seen him play it before. The most important thing I think with this ban phase is the Flores, and that's relevant on Oregon because of that elbow play. Obviously, when Flores was first announced, a lot of people turned their eyes to Oregon as being one of the most impacted by Flores, and that's definitely true on elbow when you're defending the bottom floor, so that enables that bottom floor elbow hold. The smoke ban, on the other hand, facilitates an elbow take, because typically that's going to be the operator you'll have playing on elbow to hold that position, using his gas canisters for delay.
It was also talked about in the in-game chat, as I'm not sure if everybody at home saw this or if you caught it, Michael, but that's also a direct counter to Kino, who will be playing on that role on defense. I know it was talked about earlier on in the show, but the patch that just went live on your servers for Rainbow Six yesterday is not the patch that these teams are playing on today. They are playing on the same patch that they have played this entire stage on. Which means that the changes to operators such as Zofia, to Frost, to Alibi, to Tachanka, none of them have actually occurred. So you're going to see that 1.5 times scope on Frost instead of Alibi. The changes to the TCSG and the ACS-12 not gone through. Tachanka obviously not as strong as he could be when he gets that deployable shield and gets a variety of buffs. So just something to keep in mind if you wonder why some of these operators are being brought. And you'll see it no sooner than Yaga on Zofia, as her gun's recoil has not been impacted the same way it has on live servers.
And same thing with Charlie. He's got that 1.5 still, assuming he's got it equipped. Some aggressive play here for Achieved. Ooh, and it's not paying off. He's been droned out from behind and forced back. Good pressure being applied by Oxygen. Bolo, though, gets the lead-off kill. Vertical on the floor early. Very early indeed. On the roam clear has not been great for Oxygen. Still early days, though, and they are working their way into dining and showers. They've got great control, and they can start to dislodge these roamers downstairs.
That's a full court press from TSM as well, trying to impress upon us how quickly they may want this matchup done and in the books. Achieved still wandering down below. Nobody's been able to find him just yet. So keep an eye on him. He took that initial damage and that was it. Vertical, unfortunately for OXG in previous matchups, has struggled to be that opening factor for their team, and in this matchup, obviously in this round in particular, he doesn't go very far. Drones flying by, and honestly, hard to tell if Achieved has been droned out down below. They don't know if he's playing in security. This could be to their doom. Yaga's taken up some space on stairs, and Achieved can swing on over and claim him right now if Achieved thinks of that. But Yaga's going to continue his pace up top. Nobody seems to be the wiser.
Lack of barbed wire here, and no other impediments for anyone from Oxygen to push up white. That's dangerous for TSM, but obviously they're going to be prepared for that. They must know. Boxay gets a nade kill onto Geo. That's the player at top white, I believe, which opens up a little bit of maneuvering for Oxygen. They can now play off big window at top white to pincer onto the site, and that's a great way to facilitate a take, but they have to be worried about the vertical play. C4s from below will be a factor as we hit the entry into the site.
The Achieved had used some of that hard destruction from his teammates to open up the wall behind him, and well, he's still got that Nitro Cell in hand. OXG is continuing to add to this tally that they've done so much before. Nitro Cell from Achieved goes out, doesn't net anything. He gets smoked by Laxing stationary downstairs, watching the single angle as it's Chala to try to clutch. We talked about him, but if you voted for him in the community poll through one round, you'd be wrong. An opportunity to clutch for Chala presents itself, but he is not up to the task. And round number 1 goes to Oxygen.
As discussed, Chala typically is winning those clutches. He is one of those players tied for first in the NAL statistically who wins the 1BXs. But that was just too tall an order, Parker. And a lot goes into that. Lead-off pick here for Bolo as he's retreating. That's great mechanical skill from Bolo. He was very exposed, but he managed to make something happen there. Great. Fantastic. But following that early pick, Oxygen slow way down. And this needs to be recognized because often when you lose that first pick, attacking teams, they tend to push it into overdrive. They stumble over themselves. They're like, oh, hey, I have to take fights. I have to get that read. And it usually causes more problems than solutions offered. Not so for Oxygen. They slow down, they center up, they focus on what they know, and they target the opponents they can identify. Upon doing so, able to pick up some really important frags, bringing themselves into the lead, and importantly, they realize that Sight has a tenuous hold for TSM, and are able to circumvent the roamers by simply hitting Sight directly through big window and white stairs. It's good navigation of TSM setup.
And there's one thing to note here for OXG, and it was actually brought about by our good cohort Jesse Chick, tweeting just a minute ago saying that he really hopes that OXG does well this matchup, and while it doesn't mean anything for TSM, a victory for OXG would be 40 SI points. It sounds very little, but OXG, if they have a poor stage 3 and are just on the edge of the top 16 for SI, those 40 points could make a big difference. And it is one thing to keep in mind is that while 7th place for OXG is where they currently sit, if they jump up to 6th, and that obviously has some reverberations in regards to whether they can qualify for the 6th Invitational coming in 2022. So that's something that we want to keep an eye on as well, and you best bet it's a motivator for this team.
Ooh, challenged by Z. Or Zulu, pardon. Or Zed.
Thank you. We only call it Zed if it's Fox, eh?
Right. Okay, that's fair. It was... Who was it? Now that I think about it, actually.
Irrelevant.
Oh, okay. Well, the challenge is gone, and Oxygen, good clear. This time, TSM are falling back a little bit faster than they did last round, realizing that they should play the bunker against Oxygen's execute, especially considering they're on the bottom floor. It's a very different site, obviously. They play it differently.
No smoke on the board, obviously banned out by TSM. So you talked about how that could facilitate a play from bunker into elbows. That's the common spot where a smoke would play off of, but the focus from OXG is nowhere near there. They're claiming the top floor first and then moved on to the main floor. Meanwhile, TSM have a spread down below. Nobody roaming. Everybody either in the bomb site or close enough where they can get back in a matter of seconds. Watching quite intently towards the backstairs are Geo and Achieved holding that pillar position. That's a very powerful spot to play off of. It usually requires some utility clearance to get into that. A grenade, some kind of stuns, etc. Zofia is a great operator to deal with that. It would appear that we're at the calm before the storm now, as drone work from OXG is still going out to try and figure out where TSM are playing off of it. And they're going to call some members of the team to action as both Vertical and Kino are side by side at the bottom of Laundry Stairs. I don't know if they're waiting on intel here, but they've wasted about 10 seconds. Grenades in the hands of Vertical. Achieved setting down an ADS as they now reposition, realizing that it's not going to be a take from over towards bunker. Explosives go out, damage done to Merc, and this is where everything is going to brew towards it. Oh my, bad timing!
What?
Yaga claims 2, looking for a 3rd, as he gets challenged by none other than Bolo, but Yaga can continue to stay inside a freezer. One with Bolo. He might be able to do something. Kino's there. Head pops up. Bolo's missing his shots. Downs Yaga. Secures him, but he knows that he's going to get pushed from another. 30 seconds remaining, Michael, for them to do this, and a grenade will come in, blow up Bolo, and it's all on Geo to try and hold this one off. A nice kill on Nakino. That's Diffuser down. Geo has a lot of work to do. 2 remaining members of OXG, Michael. They're going to need to grab the Diffuser and begin to plant. Laxing takes some damage. You can hear the Scorpion go off for Geo as he's now going to play Ring Around the Rosie with them. Looks to his left, looks to his right. Does he hear him creeping up on him? They're a lot closer than he thinks. He can connect a little bit, but that guns might as well be firing Nerf bullets. Pulls out the pistol. Damage done to his back. He's on 1 HP on the ground. Oh my God, Geo! He somehow pulls that one out of nowhere, and he gives TSM the round.
What a monstrous whiff at the end as well, Parker. Only one place Geo could have scurried to, and it works out for Geo. Big misses on the side of Laxing there. Really unfortunate moment there to catch the shakes. You could see the tracers going right over his head. Oh my God, lot to unpack. First of all, TSM. What is going on with the freezer hold? What is that? There should always be at least information or a player holding freezer, and if you're not going to hold freezer, you should never leave yourself exposed to it. Massive oversight on the side of TSM that should not have come as cited to Oxygen as it did, as quickly as it did. That was huge blunder from TSM. I didn't think that they were going to be able to recover from that, but clearly I am proven wrong. Well played to Geo for a wonderful clutch. That's why he gets the spot. And yeah, I mean, confusing round, Parker.
Let's see you do that, Pojo man. He probably, I mean, maybe he could have. We don't know.
He probably could have, yeah. He's a really good player.
There's a tech pause right now. It appears that there might be an issue with somebody on TSM's side of things, not Geo's. You just saw what he was able to pull off there. And I mean, it was such a such an exhilarating ride through the tail end of that round. With Geo playing it so well, there's only a couple portions of the Oregon basement where you cannot shoot through a soft wall, and he used them all to his advantage as he went through the back of Laundry, back of Supply, and then through the rotate hole into Laundry proper, and then got on the ground. And well, it's not exactly a spot that you're going to imagine. Laxing thought he was standing upright. Nope, he's on the ground. And it doesn't matter where you are, he's prone. Talk to Foxay about what it's like to be prone. He's not a big fan of that mechanic. A lot of people have talked about it, a lot of people have argued about it, but for Geo it works out quite well.
And what's your take on that one, by the way? Because I'm still in the delete prone camp.
So, I mean, I'm going to take some flack for this, but I think that if you got thrown out of the game and slowed down how quickly you can and can't crouch, that there would be a lot less frustration, especially with leaning from the average player base. My personal take is that prone is a cool mechanic, but if you're prone, you shouldn't have your gun out.
I have an identical take to you, Parker. Yeah, definitely sounds like the... But those are just our opinions, obviously.
Birds of a feather, Michael.
We work together. We've got still an extension on this technical pause. The issue seems to have not been resolved quite yet. Hopefully we get to that soon. The thing, though, we can analyze about this match, and this is to be, this is certain at this point, we've seen 2 rounds so far, is that there are some gaps being left open by TSM, and Oxygen are doing well so far at exploiting those gaps. That's important. A lot of people would have billed this as a absolutely one-sided stop. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And I don't think we're going to get that. That's not the vibe that this match is radiating for me, Parker.
No, I mean, it's still too early to tell, and I remember there was a matchup that we played. I actually think it was between these two teams last year, where the final matchup of the stage or of the season was between TSM and OXG. I think it might have even been a best of 3. I will have to pull out my notes. But I'm pretty sure that there was a best of 3 between these two teams that was, for both teams, a meaningless game. And when I say meaningless game, I mean it won't impact their standings. It's not going to change up anything with the prize pool. Maybe it changed up something with the prize pool, but it was so small that it didn't really matter.
Right.
And yet, what looked like it was a game where maybe the teams could have been trying a little harder at the start, it very quickly tightened up, and we ended up getting a spectacular best of 3 that frankly had no right being as competitive as it did. And why? Simply because of egos and bragging rights. You just don't simply want to be disrespected. You want to win. And everybody that plays in the NA League is a competitor. They will always want to win, and if they tell you otherwise, then they are lying to you. So I suspect for OXG that they are going to be firing on all cylinders, solely because, as you pointed out and Jesse pointed out, SI matters, and getting those points is crucial. For TSM, I think playing spoilers to them and wanting to stop OXG from getting those points is probably motivation enough.
Only 2 rounds in, and we've had some interesting ones. The stakes are set, as Parker has so eloquently put. We're back to the top floor here, since TSM managed to succeed on the bottom. Now, this is where Oxygen was successful last time around, and look at that. Bad time to be standing next to the wall. Yaga was just trying to use the lifeline to destroy the Mute Jammer that was on the wall, denying the X-Gyros from opening it. And he also happened to get 50% of Geo's health as a result. Collateral damage, and Oxygen will probably say thank you in a future engagement.
I don't know what it is with TSM taking these chances so early on. I mean, you don't need to play this aggressively. TSM obviously benefited from it on the very first defense of this bomb site. They're upstairs defending the double dorms, and Bolo got the leadoff kill before. Also, you know how to irritate everybody at home? There's a space in front of the B of Bolo's name that makes it unaligned with everything else, and every time he gets a kill, you'll see it. You're welcome. Look, see? There it is. Thank you very much, Vertical. He gets the opening pick onto spacebolo.tsm. And now Bolo is out of action. That was the Goyo who'd been playing below. A Nitro Cell would have been his as well. But no, TSM will now have to fight from behind for the last half of this round.
Yeah, not a great start there. Obviously, the opposite start of what we saw from the first round. However, Oxy did win that one, and maybe it'll go the other way this time. We'll see. An exchange with the SMG-11s and the shotgun out here for Geo, but it's not landing, actually. Laxing's on full HP. All of those pellets have been missing. 2 more shots and rattle on into the Armory Hall, and it continued misses until it's just not enough at that point. Down with the SMG-11, killed with the nade. TSM find themselves on their back feet. 2 players against Oxygen's 4.
TSM really putting in work in regards to wanting to hunt down kills, but not doing work well enough to get them. And OXG are very thankful for that. They pick up the diffuser after juggling it inside of the bedroom. Foxay just doesn't seem to see the player that's inside of dorms, and Merc is the one who walks away with that, playing a very tiny angle. He'll reduce Foxay to basically nothing. Merc playing on this spot is susceptible to getting pushed from white stairs, but he can govern over games, and he can also watch the doorway to trophy. Trying to bait out this plant as Foxay. Merc absolutely smokes Laxing. They trade them off. Chalice inside of the site. Is he going to clutch this one out? He failed on the previous round. Vertical coming around the corner. Up swings Chala, and he gets them both. TSM clutching 2 rounds in a row, and they have no right to win either of them. But the lead is theirs as they're up 2-1.
Parker, I was just about to commend Oxygen for their patience and their ability to transition an advantage into a win, and then that happened. A frost mat? Are you kidding me? I know it's a meme, and I know it's starting to lose its, its potency as the frost mat becomes more and more relevant in competitive play, because I swear every time we see a frost played consistently, there's at least one frost mat triggered. But you can't be having that. You cannot. Merc, great trade on Trophy Door. He equalizes, helps his team out. Following that, we do have Chala in the clutch position. As he does, he clutches, and it's thanks to the bullheadedness of the planter from Oxygen, the frost mat, that trade from Merc, and then just winning the 1v1 in the end. I mean, so much goes wrong for Oxygen there. A series of unfortunate events, to be sure.
It's almost like our gorgeous social media man, Rhodey, knew that ahead of time. I don't know if he comes up with the questions, by the way. I have no idea, but he's the one that posted the question, so he gets all the credit, nobody else.
Yay.
Apologies to anybody else, by the way, who's involved with the show who came up with that question if it wasn't Austin, but yay!
Hey!
It's all Rhodey. Production just confirmed it. Breaking news. So there you go. It's almost like he knew this. Big moment from Chala. Geo obviously getting in his digs as well, and boy, oh boy, if there was ever motivation to win this matchup for Oxygen, those last 2 rounds are it as well.
Yeah, those both could. I mean, this could be a 3-0 right now, easily. No question in my mind. I'm really actually surprised that it isn't, to be honest. Oxygen have continually set themselves up for success and then failed to deliver. I really hope it doesn't become more of a pattern as this match.
Oh, he fell off the roof.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm sure that they'll have a fun time uploading that clip. Laxing gets brought back up. There's no gunfire that's hit anybody in the server just yet, but Laxing is obviously hobbled. Achieved to put him out of his misery. There wasn't really that much left to deal with, but hey, you get the leg up on that one. TSM get the opening pick here in round number 4.
And that's your top rank. That's the player with 6 kills right now in 3 rounds. Laxing gone through no small fault of his own, to be fair. And where's the follow-up? Oxygen definitely need to get some kind of ground here, and they will, as Yaga follows the nade into security. Beautiful execution from Oxygen. They'll get 2 follow-ups as well. It's a complete sweep in the opposite direction of what we had for the leadoff kill.
TSM, when they, or Oxygen, when they take this site, usually spend so much time clearing above, and then they'll put the sledge, who is often played by Foxay, inside of dorms. In this instance, they've switched up the roles, and losing the sledge early on, they decided to push towards the site instead of doing their due diligence up top. This left the 3 players from TSM that were off site to try to return, and they got caught out by Oxygen on every step of the way. Yaga punishes one, and a beautiful shot will clean that round up for OXG. And it might not be a clutch as they had the lead in the round. They don't have a lead in the game, but still an impressive showing from OXG as they tie things up after round 4.
Very clean gunplay there from Yaga. He definitely earned that one for his team. I believe that was a 4K, if I'm not mistaken. At least a 3 for sure. Well done to him. And 2 rounds to 2. So TSM, their engagement pattern there. very aggressive, Parker, and oddly so. The real problem that TSM faced was when they lost control of security, it was so immediate that they weren't able to rotate to retake or to bolster that defense. And since security is such an integral part of a kitchen defense, well, them's some problems right there. So TSM, they throw their bodies at it. Yaga stops them cold. And on the follow-up retake later in the round, it's the same exact story, even though TSM did it slower. At that point, the manpower was so light for TSM, it probably wouldn't have made a difference, but really well done to Yaga. Not only getting control of security, but holding control of security. Great individual performance.
Well, OXG managed to wrap that one up with a bow, and the one bomb site that we see somewhat often, and I would imagine probably won't pop up again, is now in the books. That was the meeting site. Laundry and dorms tend to be the two that teams spam between the two. We are downstairs on Laundry Supply Room. This is the site of where we saw that impressive clutch from Geo last time, back in round number 2. Due to the site being locked for 3 rounds, now it's open again, which means that the dorms bomb site, last played in round number 3, will open up next. Safe bet to TSM will go back there, and that'll conclude the first half. This is going to be quite a pivotal round because all things considered, OXG did seem like the better team on the last attempt of this bomb site. It was just a miraculous clutch and a hero play from TSM that ultimately gave them the round. Those sorts of things are not always sustainable, and the fact they've already happened twice from TSM, well, I don't know how much you can count on that for the remainder of this matchup.
Huh. Well, Merc clearly thought he was hearing something, and not something anyone else would have heard, I suppose. Or maybe there was some other information called out there, but yep, didn't work. Maybe he's... I mean, I would say maybe he's trying to help a roamer, but there is no roamer. You know, by giving them an extra angle. It doesn't exist. Maybe a late retake upstairs will be a thing from these players by pillar. All right, we'll find out. I'm trying to find some reason for that C4. I don't know.
Maybe it was just for funsies.
You know what? It could have been a fat figure, too.
He was just having a great time. I don't know. It's something that you can always ask later on. I know that a lot of players, when things happen that we scratch our heads at in front of our eyes, a lot of the players afterwards will take to social media and basically explain it. I know Easily did that after the confusion that Shuttle had, if you remember, in the matchup against Mirage just last week. That said, this is the halfway point of round number 5. It's a second attempt at a defense here for TSM. They won their very first time, even though it was off of a remarkable effort from Geo. Now, it's going to be the first one to contest, and that's a beautiful shot. And if Merc could ever spam a good night in the chat, that's when you would see it, as he absolutely smokes Yaga.
Yeah, talk about fights you're not supposed to win. Merc really pulling through impact frags on the board. The clock is not too dwindled, though. I really have to give credit to Oxygen for being quick on their initial takes on Oregon. They are setting themselves up with plenty of time to spare, and that's going to allow them to pick and choose where they want to execute. It looks like they're going to convert all of their pressure into a blue take.
They just rush on in, Michael, and they are met with a chorus of applause from TSM, who knew this was coming, and yet they were still able to capitalize off of it. Laxing's a little bit too slow, but Fox A is making them pay. Only problem is he doesn't have access to that diffuser. He knows that there's one, and a beautiful shot from him. He takes down Merc. And we see a clutch this time around, simply on the shoulders of Fox A. If not, it's Chala to win. Grenade goes out. Explosion goes off. 20 seconds left. Chala's still playing on this angle, but Fox A is better. Goodness gracious. It's a clutch this time from OXG, and they have the lead in the match.
And again, I believe a 4K beautiful stuff from Fox A. That third kill was blind, Parker. He reacted to the tracers. Obviously, Oxygen is on something today. Beautiful stuff. Really, after that rush failed, round should be over. That should be TSM's. Diffuser down on elbow. 2 players sitting on top of it. There's no way that Oxygen recovers, surely. But then Fox A, oh my. Today is the day of clutches, it seems. And Oxygen, they will take their tactical timeout. I'm assuming that when the tactical timeout was called for, they thought they were going to lose that.
Me oh my. Well, I mean, this has been as back and forth and heated as we thought it was going to be, and credit to both of these teams for what they're putting in so far. OXG might not have been the most structured team in that previous round, but they come out ahead, so essentially they trade the 2 rounds. OXG was the better team in round number 2. They lost Laundry Supply Room. TSM was arguably the better team in that round, and they lose it. So all is well and good, perfectly balanced. Everything goes back to normal.
As all things should be.
I was trying really hard not to say that.
But you set it up, so I had to. Like, it's an obligation for your casting partner to follow through on these things. We're not quite balanced in the round count, though. Since that clutch from Oxygen, it's 3-2 their favor. So last chance for TSM to pick up a defense in regulation. Obviously, if we get to OT, it could be a different story. They'll be going to the bottom floor once more. And I gotta say, Parker, I'm not liking TSM's bottom floor defense so much. That last round was definitely a clutch from Foxay. All credit to him. But we've seen a lot of gaps in this bottom floor hole.
We have, and I had speculated that we were gonna go to dorms, but not the case. I was wrong. I believe we have the team skins, by the way, for you on your screen. And there you go, right there. Bang, in the bottom. Mozzie. TSM set, not only do they have a charm in the game, they have a gun skin on the Commando, and then they've got the operator skin as well. We'll highlight TSM in this particular moment because it was what appeared on your screen, but OXG also has a skin in the game on the MP5K. Both of those are currently available in the in-game shop. They're part of the R6 share program, with a portion of those proceeds going back to the team, to the orgs, and to the Rainbow Six Esports program. So you can go and buy those right now if you'd like.
Great way to support the teams that you care the most about. Drone work coming in here from Oxygen. They are once again being very quick on this entry. That's probably the most notable thing from this first half so far that I have to point out. Oh, challenge from Yaga. Costs a drone, no HP loss. Bolo and Yaga wary of each other. Anyway, as I was going to say, Oxygen, they have been very good on their roam clear, whether it be with roamers that are actually stalwartly trying to defend and hold their position and get kills, or against a fallback roam, like the one we saw just now from TSM. Not really even a roam at that point, but they're not wasting time. Oxygen are being smart, and I really have to appreciate that. It's something that a lot of teams, especially in the NAL, suffer with.
Very quick to the punch, and they've opened up that top hatch as well, where Merc looked like he could be spotted, and he gets taken down by Yaga miles away. They're inside a freezer. Merc was so pivotal to hold that angle into freezer, and now with him gone, there's nobody really from TSM to safeguard it unless they send somebody up to watch it, and that's going to be Bola's job. He's still posted up just by the hallway, firing away through the soft wall. Nice recoil control, but he can't net the hits that he needs. Does no damage at all to anybody on OXG.
Merc using his opportunity to use the chat since he is the first casualty of the round.
Well, if that's the only way you can fire back, then that's how you got to do it.
It's true. Yaga doing his best to net a second. He's been landing a lot of those shots so far through this match. Just one of the top performers overall, and actually the absolute top performer. And Oxygen is well set up with a whole minute to go, and they've already chosen their lines of attack.
Yaga's obviously been taking some heat for his performance on the team, so a standout performance is obviously very welcome. Vertical walks right in, though. It's his. OXG have a big lead. A double kill from Yaga comes out. A plant going down from Kino, and Achieved and Geo will need to be the ones to try to salvage this round. Left just down to Geo in a 1v4. Big double kill on the Vertical and Kino. Diffuser needs to be picked back up. Foxay grabs it, and he'll start to plant it. Diffuser timer running. Geo runs out. He's spotted in freezer. Swings away and manages to stop one from getting the diffuser down, but Foxay simply overpowers him. No objective play needed. They'll take the kills. Thank you very much. And Oxygen, funny enough, they'll take the half. Not just winning in-game, but also in chat. You can't see it. It's not on your screen, but let me tell you, it was a tasty one.
Ooh, oh gosh, that was Yaga, right? Who said that?
Indeed it was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so Yaga firing back on Merc, and Merc saying that this doesn't mean anything, but I mean, it does actually mean something. Those SI points are not to mess around with, and I think Oxygen's aware of this. TSM might not be. If Merc is Merc's indication in chat has anything to go on. I don't know. It's hard to say what they do and do not know. I'm not in their heads. But what we do know for sure is that, yeah, I actually think that this has got some significance. Attackers need to locate and I love the tension, though, between these teams. Oh, this is fun. This is juicy.
There's been a lot of good things that have come out of these teams moving physically to Las Vegas and now also playing on LAN. I mean, it was shown all over social media with the teams engaging in trash talk, and one of the most visible being Yeti and the other being Iconic. Numerous times we saw both Sonics and Disrupt chewing out their opponents on camera. Well, the good news is that coming up after this matchup, you're going to get to see them do it against each other. And of course, we couldn't have written a better storyline because both of those teams are fighting for the final Mexico major spot. And of course, the last match of this stage will determine whether Disrupt Gaming or the Sonics will go to Mexico as North America's 4th representative. Every other team in every other region has been confirmed.
Right.
So boy, oh boy, that's going to be a lot of pressure for two teams that are quite young, in fact, and neither of them have represented their region at an international event before.
I am very much looking forward to the coming match, Disrupt versus Sonics, Parker, and I'm looking to see what kind of pressure they'll apply to each other. But what we're seeing right now in TSM and Oxygen is a little bit surprising to me, to be honest. We're getting a lot more try out of Oxygen and TSM alike, actually, than I was expecting. They are putting their all into this. And Merc is putting his all into the chat. So it's just been fun to watch.
Well, there's a retreat here from OXG's. Their very first defense is going to be downstairs. I always want to say this whenever we see the Vector. That is not the suppressor, that is the long barrel. There has been numerous confusion on social media, and if you don't play Goyo or if you don't play Mira, that extremely long barrel, that's the extended barrel. It's not a suppressor, though they do look similar.
Yeah, the suppressor is smaller. It's much smaller, but it has a similar kind of profile. And the reason, if you're wondering why people use the extended on that weapon, it's because, number one, the recoil's not that bad. And number two, it has a serious problem with damage drop-off over range. So you do become a lot more versatile when you put that extended on.
Yeah, the Vector is obviously a very high DPS weapon, but the damage is quite low, especially past a certain point. You might as well be blowing kisses at your opponents because they're going to do about the same amount of damage. With that said, while we talk about the loadouts of some of these players, a downstairs defense for OXG looks eerily similar to what we saw out of TSM. The only difference is the Ella is playing by the front of Laundry instead of playing by back pillar. And the take from TSM that we see coming out appears to be a pretty standard take through bunker and then dropping down through E-box.
The thing that I have to note here, ever so slightly slower attack from TSM compared to what we were seeing on Oxygen, and much less initial contact. Fewer risks being taken by TSM, but that is not an inherently good thing. We know that TSM could flourish when they go for those gambits, and just because we haven't seen them doesn't mean that they are being cautious. It just might mean that they're playing a little bit, scared.
Nice shot, though, from both Foxy and Achieved. Achieved wins that gun duel out. No extended barrel's going to help you on that one. OXG will now scramble to cover the back of the bomb sites as Merc now walks in and he takes out one of his own on a vertical. So they've got control of those back stairs. There's a drop from E-Box, and Laxing's Nitro Cell will go out. It collects on T'Challa. Bolo doesn't take any damage. Merc is on 1 HP, so a single gust of wind will knock him off of his feet. He tries to swing. Merc goes down. He's a meat shield. Laxing picks up 2 big kills. He pivots, but he's got Kino by his side to clutch out the round. The lead for OXG will continue to grow, Michael. They're up 5-2.
Massive round from Laxing. The leadoff pick for his team, but that's T4 to follow up the entries that TSM got. That's recouping the losses. And that is, I must say, that's on Oxygen. So TSM, I was wondering, are they playing slow because they're scared? Are they playing slow because they know something that we don't? Are they playing slow because they're just trying to be cautious? I think it was the second. I think they knew something that we didn't. Oxygen, they got a little bit antsy, and they started pushing angles that they shouldn't have been pushing. Not as we're about to hit the last 20, 30 seconds of the round. Let the attackers initiate. Why are we pushing into these angles? Why is Oxygen suddenly down 2 players? Laxing recovers that, and he does a beautiful job of doing multiple people's jobs, holding on to that single wall position. Not an easy thing to do, very pre-fireable, and he was low on HP already. So well done to Laxing, well done to Oxygen recovering that, but I have to say Oxygen put themselves in a bad position to start with there. It could have been a lot smoother as TSM were shooting themselves in the foot, being too slow on their execution.
Has a single Laundry supply take or defense round, just in general, has it gone the way that it looked like it was going to go from the first fight? Because I think all of them so far have been coin tosses. We've seen 4 defenses of Laundry supply room right now, 3 obviously from TSM, and boy oh boy, I mean, you'd be sitting here scratching your head if you were to watch the first kill and then wondering why the result of that round didn't end up the way that you thought it would.
Well, in terms of first kills, I don't think so. But there was that one round where Oxygen went for a laundry freezer take, and they set up really great crosses, and they came in together really well. That was when the plant didn't get down. Foxy got the last kill onto Geo, who tried to force in the hall at the end. Remember that one? That one I feel like was pretty definitive Oxygen. But apart from that, it's been a total toss-up.
Well, it's a different bomb site, obviously. With OXG taking that round, they can't go back to Laundry Supply Room until round 10. At that point, the matchup might be over. OXG just needs 2 more rounds to pass Mirage, pick up 40 SI points, and then finish 6th in the NA League. They've got Laundry Supply under their belt. Next up is Dorms up top, and they've got some presence down below inside of Meeting Hall. Now, some teams will play down underneath the bomb site, likely with explosives in hand, maybe a nitro cell. That's usually what'll do the trick, and that's what we saw from TSM when they were the ones defending down there.
Oh, Impact or something similar does get most of those X-Gyros, but one tiny little hole is made, so... Huzzah! I think it was an impact from Foxay, probably on... Yep, nope, it was an impact trick on the fan. So the ceiling fan in Classroom can be hit with an impact to get things on the closet wall. Very advanced impact trick, super difficult to do. Foxay does it.
Polo's first casualty, by the way, that's Kino the Frost showing their prowess, but Geo with the tiny hole, he doesn't need more than that. He takes one down before Foxay swings and admires the work that he's done. Now it's Chala to try to hold this one off. Merc punishes Yaga. Foxay falls as well. Merc a big double piece inside a trophy. He's got 2 more members of OXG to find if he wants to keep adding to it. Boxing down below still has a nitro cell in hand. He could be a major thorn in the foot of whoever tries to push up, but he botches the nitro cell, and now he'll have to head towards the main stairs. Kino reflexively fires towards the doorway inside a trophy. He's also watching Attic if they push in that direction. Laxing now up on the top floor. There's 3 members of TSM to 2 for OXG. Make that 1 for OXG and make that 0 for OXG as TSM enters and nobody from OXG leaves. TSM have quite a ways to claw their way back into this game, but the comeback has to start at some point. Round number 8 is theirs. It's still 5-3 for OXG.
Once the trash talk starts up, Merc gets fired up, and we had seen him, I gotta say it, he was slacking for a lot of these rounds, but this round, super impactful frags, brings TSM firmly into the lead, and he doesn't get that last one, so no 4K, but still, really big round from Merc, and every time he starts talking smack, or someone else starts talking smack to him, which we did see a little bit of when Yaga was firing back, although none of you saw it, we did. And yeah, TSM, they get a good attack round there. I think they're first. So big ups there to Merc, big ups to TSM. Lots of time to spare. That's a big thing I have to highlight. Fastest attack we've seen from TSM so far. Really gave them a leg up.
OXG could have gone back to double dorms, by the way, but with how triumphant TSM was, I don't fault them whatsoever for now going downstairs to this mess hall kitchen defense. Could have easily gone to meeting, but no, they're going to go for the one bomb site that up until this point we hadn't seen. Now, there's a couple things that'll happen with this bomb site that we don't see on meeting. Number 1, most teams will still want to take control of the dorms site above the B-bomb, which means that you're going to have 1 or 2 defenders playing up there and will likely invest quite a bit of utility. As you can see on your screen, there's a frost mat and 2 frost mats and a reinforcement up there as well. I don't know if Laxing is going to play solo or if they'll send somebody up to assist him, but he's going to completely barricade himself inside of dorms and hold on to that position. Most of the attackers will want to take the front of, well, it's right there. They want to take the front of the bomb site as quickly as they can, that small tower. And then once they manage to do that, they'll want to take control of the bathroom area, which is where Yaga is playing in as well. You'll often see a Mira in there if she's available. She's not in this particular matchup, so if they try to take care of that wall, an impact grenade will likely be used to take out the hard destruction. TSM are wasting no time, though, as they've only been in this matchup right now in this round 40 seconds in. They've already got control of the top of small tower.
Foxlight looking to challenge the vertical holes there. Dangerous job to do. Luckily, he's got vertical on his team. Has been having the best match so far, but there is still time yet for that to change. Ooh, Impact hits the table. He was looking to get the drones, and he will actually get it with a second, but those are some expensive drones right there, Parker.
Very costly. I do wonder how much they would cost in real life. That's a conversation for another day. A pre-fire from Achieved above onto Yaga's leg. He's playing inside of this portion of the bathroom, which is also showers, as most people call it, and that's the Cardinal call it, as you see in the bottom of your screen. He's under heavy fire and is going to try to do his best to hold off. But no! Merc almost gets taken to school as Yaga tries for the school bus kill, doesn't get it. Achieved from above had him pinched, and that was basically Yaga playing to die. Joining him in the graveyard is going to be Geo, and both these teams find themselves back at 4v4.
Yeah, that's some good exchange there for both teams. Not a lot of control gained, though, for TSM, and that's the most notable thing here. They still have a minute, though, so it's not the end of the world. They can get that Showers control in a matter of time. The angles here are not favoring anyone until... Oh, Shower control is actually leveraged for the attack. There's one in there. It's the Yana, and it's Merc with a big kill. With that control now, they can use this to crossfire on the site and establish a plant spot.
That's a very low HP from Merc. He'll likely be the first one in as a meat shield, as we saw in the previous defense that OXG made down below. But good news for Kino, he's got an ult in hand, and look at that! That thing's just going to shred right through them. Down goes Chala and Merc. OXG trying to hold this one off. It could have very easily been a sweep in for TSM, but no. It's blunted in front of our very eyes. Bolo and Achieved will need to work in conjunction with one another. A stun goes out, but Bolo, unfortunately, is the one who gets caught by it. Vertical posted up on this deployable shield. Knows that Achieved is pretty close by. The sledge will give his position away as the wall explodes in front of him, and it's OXG to take the fight to him. Match point for Oxygen based off of a big 3K from Kino.
All right, Parker, I'm a little bit confused, I must confess. TSM, they get control of Showers. That gives them a crossfire on Kitchen. And what do? Every single one of them shoves their face into Showers, and no one's playing the cross from the dining door.
And
I understand.
And you know what, Michael?
Oh.
Despite it being in Showers, it wasn't a very clean take. Thanks, I'll be here all night. But not after, because we're done.
Yeah, we got one more after this, though. No, but seriously, and well done, Parker. I love that. The crossfire is supposed to be between Showers and Dining. Usually you leverage to get, Showers to get Dining control, and then you can do that push in tandem, and then the Kitchen players are less relevant. But Kino, sitting inside of Kitchen, picks up 3 kills from that position. He turns that crossfire on its head, kills the one player by the Dining side, and then all of the pressure is now suddenly on TSM because they're all in Showers. They essentially walked into a meat grinder, into no man's land, whatever you want to call it. It was difficult, and they weren't able to work out of that position. So well done to Kino in particular. He is the hero for that round.
5 seconds left before insertion.
He has been in a number of these rounds, by the way, and he's slowly been adding to his tally on the score sheet. Yaga and Laxing have been the stories of the day. Laxing had a strong start. He got caught up by his teammate. There's been some comments and questions that fans of this team have leveled at this OXG roster, as I think most people would agree that a 6th or 7th place finish, it looks like a 6th place finish in the NAL for this stage, is all but guaranteed, unless TSM manages to double their tally and push it to overtime, and even then it's still not guaranteed that TSM will win. But I think it's fair to say that the expectations set for Oxygen in this particular stage have not been met, and most people would say that OXG's ceiling is higher than 6th place. So, I mean, I say that right as Merc just charges headfirst into Foxay. So every team has been taking some time to try and sort things out, and members of OXG, especially Foxay, have spoken about it quite a lot on social media, especially about how they're taking lots of time to settle into their roles and really perfect their game. And with Hopes and Redeemer on that roster as coaches, then, well, I think Oxygen will be able to get to that level. Obviously, it's not going to happen this stage, and TSM still has a chance to tie this up and send it to overtime and win, but it looks grim for them right now.
Ooh, not looking so grim for Oxygen, though. It looks fantastic as Foxy gets the lead off onto Merc, who has just been waking up. Merc was a little bit of a slow first half. Second half, though, popping off here and there. And having him on the back burner, not going to be great for TSM. That puts more pressure on players like Geo, who's currently on hard breach, to perform as he has been throughout the rest of this match. That's huge for Foxay. That's huge for Oxygen. And, I think it's a bit of a morale victory if Oxygen wins this. Because think about it, Parker. This is the last match of the stage for you, and you've had a terrible stage. That makes this win so much more important against one of the big teams in North America that is going to the major.
Oh, obviously, it'll be a huge confidence boost, and don't get me wrong, OXG are very aware of the things that they need to work on to get themselves out of the basement of the league, and they've got time to do that. One thing as well that they will have an opportunity to focus on now that they're not going to the major is woodshedding during that time, so they can work on those things without worrying too much about prepping for a major and possibly stunting their growth. Anywho, there's only 40 seconds left. OXG are going to hang on for dear life here, though the push coming in from TSM already blunted by Merc's death earlier on. There's some Candelas and smokes in the hands of Bolo. He's got full utility. One smoke is going to go off, and now Candelas will join, trying to blind as Bolo drops on down. Pre-fires, nice shot on Aquino. It's a run and gun for Bolo. Call it a drive-by, but he can't secure a second. Waxing is better than him. The Sledge of Achieved swings on out, claims a kill. Foxay doing work off-site. Achieved trying to keep it together. Geo now downed. Achieved will need to clutch out. It's him versus Vertical. 10 seconds left, but no! It's Yaga and Vertical technically to win this one out. And by a score line of 7-3, OXG take it and move up in the NAL standings.
Big win there for Oxygen. Obviously, it's not going to change anything for this stage, but they secure those SI points, and that's significant. Well done to them, and I gotta say, again, a huge win for Oxygen, considering how poor this stage has been. This really is going to bolster their confidence moving into future matches in future stages, in future seasons. And I'm really proud of them. I think they've come a long way. They're putting up a lot of growth. TSM is a big opponent to beat. There's no way to beat around that bush. Winning against them is huge.
And obviously, we had two fights today, Michael. We had the fight in the server, and then we had the one that was happening as well behind the keyboard, and we got to see some great chatter between these teams. An impressive showing from Oxygen in the very final matchup for them and TSM. TSM are obviously off to Mexico next month to compete in the Mexico Major. OXG will take some time and work through the things that have been ailing them this stage and hope for a better result in the next stage, because while 6th is better than 7th, it's still nothing that I think Oxygen is going to be particularly proud of. That said, we've saved the best for last. Disrupt versus Sonics is our final matchup of the day. The winner of this match goes to Mexico. They will qualify for the Mexico Major. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic fight. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
What does it take to call next? Follow us for a deep dive into the Rainbow Six community, breaking down barriers, taking you behind the scenes, and showing what it means to level up.
Dr. Ellis?
I told you, she's probably tanked.
Touch this door again, I'll shoot. Again.
Dr. Ellis?
Knock it down, lost it.
Please. We need answers.
It didn't disappear.
What did you say? It didn't just... Shh, shh, shh.
What?
It's not Emerson Flint. It's one of you.
What the hell was that supposed to mean?
Okay, well,
What did her eyeball say?
look, we don't understand. Can you just please come out?
I'm afraid I can't do that, Ranger Wheeler. You could be one of them.
What is... Shh, 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 shh.
One of what?
A lycanthrope.
A what?
A werewolf.
The roads are effed. Something's wrong with the generator.
Also, there's a dead body under your porch.
I'm gonna go get a croissant.
Out of curiosity, who is packing? We having a good old-fashioned sleepover.
With guns, though.
With guns, yes. Everybody's going, how the heck? Not littering, I'm just excited.
Not judging, just watching it.
And with the highlights brought to you by none other than Predator, Oxygen put out a great win against one of the Titans in the A. It's going to be TSM. And a good game of Oregon. We're going to break it all down right here on the desk. I'm your host, Veli, Jesse, and Jaco. What did you like from this matchup?
This felt like a little bit of classic OXG in a way. Yaga popping off on Zofia. You know, obviously we're playing on the old Bills. This is probably the last time we'll get to see Yaga really have a Zofia performance like that. But Vertical had a really good day. TSM just felt off generally. I think OXG did a really good job of capitalizing on the very small mistakes that TSM produced, but OXG turned them into really big issues and massive round advantages as this game progressed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this was a great game for Oxygen. They get those 40 extra points, which could go a long way come the end of the season. I really liked how, Yaga was out there gunning, Merc was out there typing. Everybody really was showing up for both teams, and hey, that's what you want to see, right?
All right, take a look at Oxygen, though. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby. Yaga's on top, and fellas, it's good to see Yaga doing well, right? 11-6, 2 opening kills, and behind him is his boys Foxy and Laxing, 11 kills apiece as well. Mirrored stats for the KD department. But ultimately, Jesse, one big reason why Oxygen did good in your eyes is because they were so good at exposing gaps that TSM showed them. They were good at adapting.
Yeah, this happened a lot. You look at the defenses that TSM were setting up, and they were just like pretty significant holes where somebody on Oxygen Esports, usually Yaga, could exploit. They'd find these weaknesses, and they just run right into sight. And this happened not once, not twice. It happened a lot. Rounds 1, 2, 4, and 6. It all happened, I would say, to some extent or another. And you get the feeling that TSM kind of like saw it happening the first couple of times, and in a regular match that like mattered a little bit more, TSM might be like, okay, what are we doing wrong? How do we fix this? You've got to move over there. Let's fix this immediately so we stop losing rounds. And this time maybe TSM were like, yeah, darn, we'll get him next time. Like I don't think that they were as worried about patching these holes up. Whereas again, for Oxygen, this game mattered a lot more for them. So they were the ones that were always able to stop any like holes from their defenses from arising. There was always either, on the dining hold, it was Kino with the Elda, or on the laundry hold, it was Laxing with the great rotate. There was always somebody to patch that hole if something was exposed in their weaknesses or in their defenses. So I love to see that from OXG.
Jacob, I'm thinking about the first half when I say this, right? But there was a point in time where Oxygen, I felt like they could have been up 6-0. If it only didn't come up to Geo and the clutch god himself, Chala, clutching, that was insane, by the way. What was your take off of that? Because Oxygen looked strong from the start in my eyes.
They looked strong because they were getting out to very fast attacks. Like, I think for most of those rounds, there was usually a case where somebody would like start a rush and then everyone else would kind of follow in with them. If it was at the very beginning of a round and they were acting fast and heavy, or in some cases on a basement attacks where they would go in with about 45 seconds left, that was a round in particular where it actually came down to a failure in an OXG rush, but they still came back and clutched that round up. But you're right, it does come to TSM and the 2 rounds that they won on defense. One of them was a Geo clutch and the other one was a Chala clutch. You're absolutely right. It could have been a 6-0 for OXG on their attacking half because of the way that TSM were playing. It really wasn't as together. It was kind of sloppy. It was not the same TSM that decimated Beast Coast 7-0 on this exact map with a little bit of ingenuity. It was a team that, if nothing else, maybe they're just trying to not show their Oregon heading into Mexico, because that's not how you usually see TSM play.
You're right. And Jesse, last question right here for this question. Yo, Laxing popped off, man. He had some major plays. He was a big reason why they won this game, especially here on Oregon. What was your takeaway from that? Because whenever he gets loose on an open map, it's terrifying.
Yeah, well, we talked about Laxing in the pregame about how he's moved over to a sledge role last match, and I thought that was interesting. He really hasn't been a grenade player in his history, but he's starting to find his footing, and he started off this game really doing a lot of work on that role. He found 2 grenade kills in the first 2 rounds. I was like, okay, he's back. He's really feeling himself in this role. Slowed down a little bit, I'd say, in the second half of that first half, I guess the second quarter. Right, but back on defense, he did once again have a lot of big moments. That rotate with the C4 down in laundry, probably the biggest one, the most impactful play that he made all game long. But it's just interesting to watch a game of OXG where Fox is on the Nomad and Laxing is on the sledge. And I really wonder if this is something we're gonna see when they get back to stage 3. When this team comes back into playing and they're trying to work on themselves as a team to get themselves out of this slump that they're currently in. Is this gonna be a permanent change? Because so far, I kind of like it.
I'm interested to see but we actually have a community poll question as well. Follow us on social media and you can get involved. Jacob, you get to answer this one first. Laxing and Chala are both known for their clutches, so who will win the most today? Laxing, who's very popular. We're talking about TSM's Chala right now. Who do you think comes out on top of this one?
Fortunately, it is stage 2. It is TSM coming back to form, and it's Chala the Frost God using that 1.5 until the end of time, which is going to be next week. So as far as I'm concerned, Chala got this one.
Jesse, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think Chala probably is going to be the winner here, and anybody who did pick Chala would be correct because he got that 1v3 clutch. Laxing at some big plays, but I don't think any technical clutches.
Landslide victory once again. It's going to be laxing with 30%, and Chala ran away with it. That
You
is
keep baiting me.
That
Every
is
time you're like,
absolutely insane.
landslide, and then 30%. How is that a... Oh, got it. You do that way
By
too
the
much.
way,
I get you. Yeah.
Do any of you know who did the Sonic Stage 2 recap video? No, is that either of you? All right, I was gonna poke fun at you guys, but one of our fellow on-air talent, they gave us insight about what they thought about Sonic so far here in Stage 2, and we're gonna check that out. But don't forget, right after that, we have a very important match: Disrupt Gaming versus Sonics for the final spot to go to Mexico. I can't wait. Let's check out this video though. I want to see what the Sonics are up to.